Today I'm going to be working in my workbook called The Family of Abraham, and this covers Genesis 19, verse 30 through chapter 25, verse 18. And this will be covering all the balance of the story of Abraham into his life. And the first chapter, which is what we'll be doing today, is not a G-rated chapter. So if you have children watching this, I would advise not this chapter. This chapter gets into some sticky details, which wouldn't be appropriate for young children. Uh, but it's in the Bible. Again, a Bible is not a G-rated book. So anyway, we'll be doing chapter 1, Lot and his daughters. Genesis 9:30 through 38. So the verse starts, and this is right after they have been pushed out of Sodom, and Sodom has been destroyed. They had gone to the little town of Zor, and I think I tell this at the bottom of this page there. So let me see what I go with here. Genesis 9:30. Lot and his two daughters left Zor and settled in the mountains, for he was afraid to stay in Zor, and he and his two daughters lived in a cave. So this story, of course, follows the story of Sodom and Gomorrah in Genesis 19:1 through 29. And we have the very bottom here, that the ending of that story, Genesis 19:15 through 22. With the coming of dawn, the angels urged Lot, saying, "Hurry, take your wife and your two daughters who are here, or you'll be swept away when the city of Sodom is punished." When he hesitated, the man grasped his hand in the hands of his wife and his two daughters and led them safely out of the city, for the Lord was merciful to them. As soon as they had brought them out, one of them said, "Flee for your lives. Don't look back and don't stop anywhere in the plain. Flee to the mountains or you'll be swept away." But Lot said to them, "No, Lord, my lords, please, your servant has found, if your servant has found favor in your eyes, and if you have shown great kindness to me in sparing my life, but I can't flee to the mountains. This disaster will overtake me and I'll die. Look, there's a town near enough to run to, and it's small. Let me flee to it. It's very small, isn't it? Then my life will be spared." And that's why the town was called Zor. So that gives you kind of a prelude to what's happening here. So question 1, Lot and his two daughters left what city? They left the town of Zor after they were pulled out of the town of Sodom. And locate the city on the map below. So Zor, of course, is below Sodom, and those are all questionable locations of those cities there. Why were they in Zor? Again, because they were pulled out of Sodom before it was destroyed, and Lot pleaded for them to stay in Zor. Where did the angels tell Lot and his family to go? The mountains. They were to go to the mountains. Why do you think Lot and his daughters ended up in the mountains instead of Zor? I think that when they went to Zor and Lot was seeing all the evil that was in Zor, he was afraid that that would get destroyed as well. So he went to the mountains where the angels had told him to go, figuring that that was a safe place because that's where they wanted them to go. Never, you've noticed, never in this does he think about going to where Abraham lives. You know, that's just strange to me. So now the verses continue. Genesis 19:31. One day, the older daughter said to the younger, "Our father is old, and there's no man around here to give us children, as is the custom all over the earth. Let's get our father to drink wine and then sleep with him and preserve our family line through our father." Oh, righty then. Such an evidence of moral decline here. I mean, please, there were men out in Zor, and there were men in some of those other cities, but instead they decide they need to do this. What did the older daughter see as the problem? There is no man around here to give us children. Well, she's only looking in her little cave environment. There are men out in the world. They're not the only three people in the world. So let's break down her problem as she sees it. What town had they just left when they moved to the mountains? The town of Zor. More than probably, were there men in Zor? Oh, absolutely. Did they have fiancés in Sodom? Yes, they did. So we know that they did not limit themselves only to the family line of Lot for husbands. Did she have a great uncle near the great trees of Mamre, near Hebron, she could have turned to? Oh, absolutely. Abraham existed and he had family. Despite where they lived, what was the virginity of these two women intact? Apparently it was. That's kind of weird based on all the moral depravity. But Lot had proclaimed their virginity and they hadn't had any time to do anything else. So they may still be virgins at this point. Do they really have a problem? No, they don't. They could have found a mound outside in the city of Zor or whatever. They could have. They aren't the only three people on the earth. How are they going to achieve their goal? They're going to sleep with their father to have to have children. The scriptures continue. Genesis 19:33. That night they got their father to drink wine, and the older daughter went in and slept with him, and he was not aware of it when she lay down or when she got up. So they got him really drunk. And where did they get the wine? Did they really carry that much wine with them? So they had to go to town to get the wine, I would think. So anyway, this is, you know, you get it in your head to do something, you really have to do a lot to make it work, I think. If they lived in the mountains, how did they have wine to drink? Well, they could have carried it with them, but I don't think they would have had enough to get him drunk. My goodness. How drunk would they have had to get their father for him not to realize what is happening? He had to have passed out in such a way that he would not become aware that it was his daughter he was sleeping with. Who slept with him first? The older daughter. Before we put all the sin on the daughters, let's look at Lot as well. Is it unwise to get drunk? Yes, it is unwise to get drunk in such a way that people can take advantage of you. Proverbs 23:29-33. Who has woe? Who has sorrow? Who has strife? Who has complaints? Who has needless bruises? Who has bloodshot eyes? Those who linger over wine, who go to sample bowls of mixed wine. Do not gaze at wine when it's red, when it sparkles in the cup, when it goes down smoothly. In the end, it bites like a snake and poisons like a viper. Your eyes will see straight sights and your mind will imagine confusing things. Considering all the prior knowledge we have about Lot, especially how he lives among sin and had future son-in-laws among the sinners of Sodom, has he been living a life that would have been a good example for his daughters? Absolutely not. I mean, he was going to pawn them off to the town. What does Lot think will happen to him if he lives in the mountains? He had told the angels that um, the the destruction of Sodom would consume him. Um, and yet he goes to the mountains because angels say that's a good place to live. The scriptures continue. Genesis 19:34. The next day, the older daughter said to the younger, Last night I slept with my father. Let's get him to drink wine again tonight, and you go in and sleep with him so that we can preserve our family line through our father. So they got their father to drink wine that night also, and the younger daughter went in and slept with him. Again, he was not aware of it when she lay down or when she got up. Okay, so aside from the fact that where'd they get all the wine, aside from the fact that they got him drunk so much that he couldn't realize what was going on, this is the second night they did this. So wouldn't he have also thought that there was something going on? When did they try this again? The next day. Who lays with their father this time? The younger daughter. Again, did Lot get drunk? Absolutely. Don't you think Lot would have figured something was up if it happens a second time? I would think so. But maybe she's so distraught because of all the things that have happened, he could care less. I don't know. Did Lot know what happened this night. No, he didn't. Verse 34 repeats another reason they have for doing this. What is this? Preserve our family line through our father. Well, wouldn't they still be preserving their family line? I guess one way you would look at it is they are not men to preserve the family line. But come on, this is kind of weird. What do you think brought these sisters to this point? I don't know. Desperation, nothing else better to do. That's beyond me is how this all worked. So the scripture here continues, Genesis 19:36. So both of Lot's daughters became pregnant by their father. The older daughter had a son, and she named him Moab. He is the father of the Moabites of today. The younger daughter also had a son, and she named him Ben-Ami, and he is the father of the Ammonites today. So the Moabites and the Ammonites come from Lot. Okay. Did both of the daughters get pregnant? Yes. What was the name of the son of the older daughter? Moab. And now you see the area of Moab there. What was the name of the son of the younger daughter? Ben-Ami. And the circle of the area of Ammon on the map. Due to their origin, these two kingdoms have an interesting history throughout the Bible. Let's dig deeper. When Moses and the Israelites are about to enter the promised land, God tells them this about these countries. Deuteronomy 2:9. The Lord said to me, do not harass the Moabites or provoke them to war, for I will not give you any part of their land. I have given Ar, the city of Moab, to the descendants of Lot as a possession. Deuteronomy 2:19. When you come to the Ammonites, do not harass them or provoke them to war, for I will not give you possession of any land belonging to the Ammonites. I have given it as a possession to the descendants of Lot. Okay. So, however, this preferential treatment does not continue. The people of Moab and Ammon were idol worshippers, and eventually their time of grace is over. God first forbids them from entering any assembly of the Lord because they did not welcome the Israelites into the land. Deuteronomy 23:3. No Ammonite or Moabite or any of their descendants may enter the assembly of the Lord, not even in the 10th generation. Then during the time of Jewish captivity, Moab and Ammon insult the Hebrews. This seems like the final straw for God. Zephaniah 2:8. I have heard the insults of Moab and the taunts of the Ammonites, who insulted my people and made threats against their land. Therefore, as surely as I live, declares the Lord Almighty, the God of Israel, surely Moab will become like Sodom, the Ammonites like Gomorrah, a place of weeds and salt pit, a wasteland forever. Ezekiel 25:10-11. I will give Moab along with the Ammonites to the people of the east as a possession, so that the Ammonites will not be remembered among the nations, and I will inflict punishment on Moab. Then they will know that I am the Lord. Now all the previous countries of Ammon, Moab, and Edom are combined in the present country of Jordan. Interestingly, this area appears to be where the Bible scholars believe the Jews will run during the tribulation when the Antichrist desecrates the temple. And Bill Perkins writes, only 1/3 of the Jews will escape from the murderous hand of the Antichrist. They flee with nothing but the clothes on their backs. Those who are not hunted down, the last to get out of town, will eventually congregate in Edom, present-day southern Jordan, in the area of the biblical Basra. It is here, in the area of Basra, that God has prepared a place for the surviving Jews to be protected from the Antichrist's murderous hand, Petra. So the area of Petra, which we know is an interesting area. So we come now to the end of the chapter. What town did they leave and settle in the mountains? Number 2, that would be Zoar, say Z-O-A-R. Number 4, Lot and his two daughters lived in a, probably a cave, right? Probably a cave, yes, a cave. 6, which daughter slept with the father on the second night, the older or the younger? The younger. Which daughter slept with the father first. Excuse me. The older or the younger? The older. One down. One of the reasons why the daughters were going to do this was to preserve their family line through their father. One down is father, yes. 3, Ben-Ami is the father of the Ammonites today. 5, Lot's daughters had him get drunk on wine. And 7, what is the name of the son of the older daughter? Moab. So that's the end of this chapter. Hope you didn't enjoy it very much. Have a great day.